Hi, I'm Joni Kisro, and today I want to talk to you about my bracelet and ring bender. I have a few videos out there on YouTube already showing my bracelet bender and different things to do with that, but today I'm going to focus on my rings. So here's the ring bender. This here is the newest bracelet bender, and I have a base on the bottom that you could actually C-clamp it to your bench. You don't need a vise. I've had a few people saying, well, I don't have a vise, so what do I do? So this is what I came up with, and then you would just take that and C-clamp it to your bench. See. Here you have the ring size, child cuff or large hoop earrings, and then here's the regular bracelet bender. I'm going to slide that down into my vise. And you know, you could get the vises anywhere, Harbor Freight, Rio Grande, many places they sell the vise. First I want to show you that I do now put the suede leather on the base. So you know, a lot of people were worried that the base would mar the metal. Well, I've used this for, well, since I was 21. This is when I came up with it, when I was 21 years old. Yes, 1976, I came up with a bracelet bender, and truly I've never made a bracelet ever without my bracelet bender. Always a textured side down, but you only want to put it in just a little bit, just to where it catches. Don't put it in too much, because then you won't have a nice bend on the one end. So I have it in there just a little bit. I want to straighten that up. Okay, so I'm pushing it over with my thumbs. Okay, now if you don't have a lot of thumb strength, the good thing about my bracelet bender is it's made out of a heavy-walled aluminum tubing. So you can take your rawhide mallet and hit it where you want. But I do suggest annealing your metal before you do this. And now I'm going to slide that ring down a little bit more, retighten the thumb nuts, and push. See, and this is about a 20 gauge. It is annealed. I loosened that, I tucked it under a little bit more, and then I'm just going to push it to the side. So this is a wraparound ring. It just kind of overlaps. Okay, see how that right side is sticking up a little bit? I'm going to tap it now with a rawhide mallet. Okay, I'm going to remove the thumb nuts. And I'm going to just slide that off. This is a little bit different. It's a 6-gauge half-round wire. I hammer the ends flat, and then I mark it and saw it and spread them out with my chain nose pliers. And I want to just stick just the least amount in, maybe that much. So I'm going to just stick that in just enough to where I tighten that up and it gets a good grip on there, so now I can push it over with my thumbs. Okay, now, see when that happens and it flips out, don't worry about it. Just stick it back in. This is a little bit heavier gauge, 6 gauge, so it's a good possibility that that could happen. Don't worry, just put it back in and just tuck it down maybe a little farther, because just showing you, it already got the very end. Even that it flipped out a little bit, it still curved that very end. So I'm just going to stick that back in there a little bit more, have it catch, and again I'm going to push it over with my thumbs. Now if you don't have a lot of thumb strength, this is what I use. It's the rawhide mallet. Just make sure you use a rawhide or a plastic mallet so you won't mar your metal. Because this is made out of a thick-walled aluminum, I can hammer on it. So I'm just going to take and just hammer that right over, and then loosen the thumb nuts a little bit, slide that back in there. Okay, you see here, that one side is good and this side is straight up. I am going to complete that with my rawhide mallet. This ring mandrel is a size 8, but earlier I said use 18, 20 gauge, but truly you could use as thick of metal as you want, any non-ferrous metal, 14, 12, 10, it doesn't really matter. Just make sure you anneal it. Really nice round circle. But I do have to work on this a little bit. So what I'll do is I will match either the wide side here or the thin side. All right, so I'm just going to take that and just bring that in a little bit. Okay, so now example, you have your ring shank, and say if you wanted to make a piece on top, say a cabochon with a bezel and on a base, you could solder that to that. But I got this butterfly started. I'm going to finish it, file it, put a cabochon in the middle. This is another ring I made using that last technique I demoed for you. This here is from sheet silver. I just cut that width and then soldered half round beaded wire in the center and did it the very same way as the last demo. This is a demo I'm going to do on the bracelet bender. I have a lot of people wondering, why don't I make an oval bracelet bender or a larger round bracelet bender? So I just want to show you that you really don't need an oval bracelet bender to make an oval bracelet. So I'm just going to stick just enough in here to catch the very end. I don't want to stick too much because the end won't get round. So I tighten it up real good and then just take my thumbs, push it over. And like I said before, if you don't have a lot of thumb strength, then just use your rawhide mallet and that goes over easily. Because this is a heavy walled aluminum tubing, it's very durable. All right, so now you see here, I'm going to loosen that and I'm going to take it out. So this is what I have. Now I am going to stick the other end in the bender, and again, you always want to make sure your textured side's down, but this is nice and round. This top is pretty flat. I'm going to stick the other end again just in there enough that when you tighten it up, it catches it. Okay, again, I'm going to stick my thumbs. I go at the very, very base, just at the very bottom of the bracelet, and start pushing from the bottom over the top. And then I just keep pushing straight down. Now it depends on what gauge your bracelet is. This is a 16 gauge, but say if you use sometimes 18 gauge, 16 gauge, or thicker, you're going to have to unscrew the thumb nuts completely and slide that off the end. Whereas if it's a little thinner, you could just pull it apart, pull it off, and it just springs back to form. I'm just going to lift that off. All right, so there, I haven't even done anything to it. This is just how it comes off. I'm going to get a better view here. That's exactly how it comes off the bracelet bender. So See how the top is flat? It's basically almost oval. So let me show you how to make a round one if you do want to make it round. But the majority of the people do want it the shape of the wrist, which is not round. So I'm going to show you that. Say example, I pull this apart to kind of re-show you what I'm doing. I want to say make a round bangle bracelet. And we'll just say this is 7 inches, 7.5 inches long. So I just start with one end, just like a normal cuff, and I tighten that up, and I just keep pushing. So basically, if you want to make it round, you just loosen your thumb nuts, slide it in a little bit more, and then push it over. Loosen your thumb nuts, slide it in a little bit more, tighten your thumb nuts, loosen again, slide it a little bit more. But see what I'm doing here is I keep pushing it to a round circle, as if I wanted the normal cuff, I would take it out and turn it around, and therefore your top would be kind of flat for a normal shape of the wrist. But I'm just going to keep turning that. And then, so now it is round, and if it was 7 inches, 7 or 8 inches, then you would just pull it apart. Okay, I'm going to take this off. All right. So there would be your round cuff, and you know, whether it's 7 or 8 inches, you just pull it apart. But see, it would overlap if it was 7 or 8 inches. And then you just pull it apart, and then it would be a full circle.